Okay, hello everybody. So today I'm going to go through this piece that I wrote in January apparently, in response to some questions that came up for us as a community, and we were concerned about our inner voices that are constantly telling us that we hadn't done enough, haven't done it well enough, that there's lots of things that need doing, and focusing on all the ones that hadn't got done. Well, I haven't done that, and I haven't done that, and I haven't done that, and obsessively sort of trying to get through our list of things to do. And perhaps moving on to focusing on all the things we failed at. I sometimes laugh at myself because I think of all the things that I could have done better, in general and specifically in a particular day. And when I think about how it would have been if I'd done them all as I think they should have been done, how many of them there are, it just couldn't be fitted in a lifetime, let alone a day. Kind of my standards, if I can think of higher and higher standards. And yeah, they're just not reachable, but then it's possible to just focus on what you failed at and feel quite bad about yourself. And that seems to be something that many people spend a lot of their time doing, is feeling bad about themselves, and with different ways of dealing with it. One way of dealing with it is to think, okay, I'm bad, I might as well enjoy it and not even try to be good. And then others feeling they're bad, but it's so overwhelmingly difficult to be good. So I'll feel bad and I won't do much, but I feel very bad about it. And then there's others who think, well, I feel bad, could try better, will try better, and become very pressured the whole time because actually there's no end to what needs to be done. So I think one of the reasons we're particularly pressured is that we, in our culture in general, we have this idea that somehow things could be put right if we tried harder, that it's a lack of sufficient effort on our collective parts, that things are not perfect and not as they should be, and yeah, so it all comes down to us, and then that becomes pressure to try and do as much as you can without really noticing you've set your standards and your goals too high, or becoming disheartened and not even trying, and even getting angry and belligerent about the fact that you feel you are to blame, so that maybe it would be, attack is the best form of defence, so I should blame others. So that seems like a good occupation to kind of not feel so bad about yourself. Well, look at others. Look how bad they are. And then even to resent those people who are doing well, those people who are doing better than ourselves, instead of thinking, wow, look at that, they can do everything, how wonderful. We think, oh, look, they can do everything, they're good at everything. Oh, aren't they awful? How could, almost like there's a sense of you want to find someone to agree with you that they're terrible, just so you don't feel so bad about it. But it's all the same mentality. It's the same mentality of trying to, somehow the world should be fixed. You should be able to fix the world somehow and make it all right. And if you can't, then somehow you're personally responsible, or not, in which case you're trying to show how it's everyone else's fault. But there's this tremendous sort of preoccupation with that way of thinking, which I didn't notice when I was living in the Far East, where there's this idea of past and future lives, and a sense that everything good you do is contributing to your own good karma. And so rejoicing in the good done by others is a way of making good karma yourself. So the tendency was perhaps much more laid back, but also a tendency to feel quite positive about the good you do. And there's no particular cultural sense in which it's good to feel bad about yourself, which I think we have that tendency to think, well, I ought to feel bad about myself. If I were to tell you now to all sit here and think and feel good about yourselves, just feel good about yourself. How many people find that easy to do? Not many. Not many. That's very symptomatic of our society. So this piece I wrote for in response to that kind of state of being, is a way to try and bring some sense of ease into our practice during the course of the day. So I'll read it first, and then I'll go through it. The power of love and compassion. Love and compassion are inherent in the nature of the universe. Compassion is the power to relieve suffering and is intrinsic to our being. Our love and compassion are integral to the love and compassion of reality itself, the love and compassion of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Our love and compassion are enough. They have power in themselves to help and to heal. Now is the time to relax all self-effort and trust the power of love and compassion to accomplish all our tasks. It will accomplish all that is possible to be accomplished today. So relax and trust the spontaneous power of love and compassion, working through all the choices you make and the things you do and don't do. Whatever you try to accomplish yourself will fail. There's no doubt about it. Since the power of love and compassion will work through you spontaneously, you can relax. And the power of love and compassion itself will accomplish all things perfectly. In Buddhism, the activity of the Buddha, his compassionate activity, is described as spontaneous, meaning it doesn't arise from any cause, it simply is. If you like, it's the nature of reality itself that operates by itself without any causes or conditions to bring it about. And the image is given of the sun. Like the sun is shining, and you could say, well, some days it isn't shining. Well, actually it is shining. It's always shining exactly the same way, and it's always acting on the world in exactly the same way. Sometimes we see it, sometimes we don't, depending on the clouds. But the sun is always acting on the clouds. And when it breaks through the clouds and we can see it, we say the sun's come out. But actually the sun was always there, didn't change. It's that sense that the compassion of the universe simply is the nature of the universe. So the next line is saying, well, what is compassion then? It's the power to relieve suffering. I think we're used to the idea that love has power, or the power of love. There's also the power of compassion. So why the two words? Are they the same, or why use two words? In Buddhism, the two words are used because, if you like, love is for the fundamental quality of, I suppose you'd have to say, bliss or enjoyment in others. There's in intimacy in others. We're all familiar with this, aren't we? Or recognise that, even if it's only with a cat or a dog or something, kind of. The simplicity of that, the pleasure in that, it goes beyond that, doesn't it? It's the uncomplicatedness of that, isn't it? But then it becomes very creative and playful and warm and joyful. All those qualities, all those alive qualities are there when there's love. And then when there's some kind of pain or feeling of disconnection, that love can turn into some kind of bitterness or aversion or anger, or it could turn into compassion, which is like feeling the pain and perhaps you could say embracing it in such a way that it relieves it in oneself and in others. Not through ignoring it, not through ignoring the pain, but by somehow being able to bear the pain for the sake of oneself and others. And that becomes a very powerful quality. And it has the power to remove suffering. So you could say that the very pain itself is compassion. Because what's the pain doing? We know physically, the physical pain is telling us there's something wrong and we need to do something about it. So it's showing us the direction in which there's some form of relief or comfort. It might be that there's something that can be done physically, or it could be that there's something that could be done mentally in the way we're approaching the moment, the way we're being in the now, as it were. It's almost like love is associated with joy and compassion is associated with pain. But maybe that's not, that they're not that different. Maybe the actual, if one could recognize the true nature of that pain, one would realize it was in fact the same as the bliss or joy of love. It's also, you could say, it's the essence of what's called, I hesitate to call it devotion, but the feeling that one has for the Buddha who teaches the Dharma, that is showing the path that leads beyond suffering to ultimate peace and nirvana, which is bliss. And the one's feeling of devotion is actually the same in essence as the love and compassion that we have, which we associate perhaps more we have for others. They're very, very close. And when in discovering the heart of Buddhism, the place where we talk about it is as sensitivity or responsiveness or sense of well-being, kind of a fundamental nature, fundamental goodness, you could even say. There's openness, clarity, and then this third quality of sensitivity. And these three are inseparable, so that the compassion we're talking about here, that's the nature of the universe. If the universe is the nature of emptiness, ungraspability, emptiness is love. Love is emptiness. It, if you like, true love has no object, and for that matter, no particular subject. You could say that sounds impersonal, which, when we say it's impersonal, that might sound like it's not got much juice to it. But also, when we love universally, when we love others equally, it's, in a sense, it's no longer personal. It's like, in that sense, it's impersonal, but it's even more personal than personal, which is biased and favours some more than others. So there's a play going on there about what is this universal love, the love of the universe itself. It's empty, ungraspable, alive, and always inseparable from emptiness is clarity, awareness. There's nowhere where there's awareness isn't. There's no outside of awareness. And that awareness has this sensitivity, responsiveness, or why not call it love? This quality of love. And it's the basis from which everything else manifests, these three qualities. So it's the nature of the universe. It's inherent in the nature of the universe. So what has that got to do with my constant busyness and sense of I've not done enough? Like somehow I need to do it myself. I need to do better. Well, maybe we don't. Maybe actually, if the nature of the universe is love and compassion, maybe what we need to do is relax and cooperate and trust that. And that by doing less, perhaps, more can be accomplished. Because when I'm pushing to somehow sort of fix things, or I'm responding to my sense of guilt or unease, if I'm doing things in that way, maybe the way I'm doing things isn't really from love and compassion, which will mean they're less able to remove suffering and bring happiness than if I were acting from that love and compassion, but perhaps in a way not accomplishing so much in ordinary time-bound terms. How much can you fit in a day? How much love and compassion can you fit into a day? I wonder. Of course it can't be measured, can it? It can't be measured. So perhaps before we throw ourselves into our busy day, fitting everything in, just to pause for a moment and think, well, actually, maybe the most effective moments of this day will be those moments when I relax and allow love and compassion to work through me. Just have that thought in the back of your mind. It might be worthwhile to remember that from time to time. That's, if you like, that's your real, I hesitate to say task, but that's your real task for the day, is to acknowledge and value those moments during the day when one isn't driven and one's allowing love and compassion to work through us. And then immediately what comes to my mind is, yeah, but how do I know that's love and compassion? How do I know I'm not just, kidding myself? Do I have any love and compassion anyway? I'm not sure. How would I know? How would I know whether it's love or compassion that I'm experiencing? As soon as you start asking yourself questions like that, you kind of know you're not going to get an answer, don't you? You kind of know there's nobody going to come along and say, yes, it's okay. That was very loving, or that was very compassionate. Oh yeah, that was very pure. There wasn't any selfishness in that. You know that's not going to happen, and you know even if it did happen, you wouldn't believe it. It's kind of... So I find it very comforting to think, well, actually it's intrinsic to. I'm intrinsic to the universe, and love and compassion is intrinsic to the universe, therefore it has to be intrinsic to me. Therefore, it's quite likely that I won't feel it. It's quite likely I won't know. In fact, maybe it has to be that I won't know. But what is interesting is, we all know what selfishness feels like. We all know when we're being very selfish. And we all know what it's like to be, egocentric and preoccupied with ourselves. And it's really interesting because there's a sense in which that, one would assume that would mean one was happier because one was looking after oneself better. The interesting thing is that when we let go of egocentricity and selfishness, we're not diminished and we're not more unhappy. In fact, characteristically, we're happier, and in a way, our heart has become bigger. Which is really interesting, isn't it? Because that's more us, the true us, when we let go of our selfishness, which is protecting us. We don't become less, if we like, we become more. And maybe that's enough to convince us, well, that isn't just accidental. If love and compassion are the nature of the universe, that's what you would expect, wouldn't you? You give up selfishness and automatically there's more love and compassion. Others will feel the love and compassion and you will feel happier. That's it happens automatically. And at any stage, this is the wonderful thing, somebody who's been selfish and mean and horrible and full of hatred all their lives can have a change of heart. And they can change. And they can be as loving and warm as anybody. Just like that. They don't have to maintain and hold on to it. They just have to let go of what they were holding on to. Well, we just have to let go of what we're holding on to. We don't have to develop love and compassion separately. There are practices in Buddhism for developing love and compassion separately. But actually they're tricks to get us to let go of her selfishness and clinging. We don't really need to develop love and compassion. So again, we don't need to worry. If we just think to ourselves the nature of the universe is love and compassion and just relax, we don't have to worry about whether we have love and compassion. Just assume it and see what happens. Our love and compassion are integral to the love and compassion of reality itself. It's not even our love and compassion. There's no way we can measure our own love and compassion. That's why we're not sure we have it. Because it's integral to the love and compassion everywhere. When we do things with others in a harmonious way, there's a feeling of closeness and integralness and wholeness that is shared by everybody who's participating in it. We're all integral to the same love and compassion. It's not a matter of measuring, who's got more. It's somehow we're all sharing in the same love and compassion that's in the room, or in the universe, or in the world. You don't have to measure whether you've got more or less than someone else. If you hear someone's got more than you don't have to feel, well, that means, you hear, more than you, but you hear of somebody whose compassion seems so great, you feel that you don't have compassion like that. But that doesn't make you feel impoverished. When you hear of that, something's touched in you. Which, if you like, shows that that is actually integral to you too. That's why you're touched. So it's not I think mostly people are not so mean about love and compassion, are they? I mean, they're a bit mean when they hear somebody's been very successful in their life, and or they've been a very successful performer, or a successful mother, or a successful whatever it is, career person, and you feel, ugh. But you see, this person is so loving and compassionate. You feel, somehow I'm just touched by that. I think mostly, unless we don't really believe it's genuine, then we might get a bit nasty and bitchy about it. But if we really believe it, I think we can only be touched by it, and it's something in us, that love and compassion that's intrinsic to us comes alive. And I always find that very empowering. That it isn't my love and compassion, it is the love and compassion radiating from the heart of the universe, like the sun in me, and the sun in the centre of reality, the sun that's the real nature of all of us. Okay, I find that a fantastic image, but for that, my love and compassion is integral to that. It's not separate from that, it's not smaller than that. The love and compassion, so again this is in parenthesis really, the love and compassion of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, that is what we mean by the spontaneous love and compassion of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Yeah, there should be a comma, not a full stop after itself. Our love and compassion are enough. So this is really emphasizing that, okay, there's so many tasks I have to do today, or I could do today. There's so many things I could do better. But love and compassion are enough. I tell myself that. Actually, that is enough. And am I even stopping even for a moment to consider that? At least I have stopped a moment to consider that. That's already, yeah. It's interesting, sometimes a moment is enough, isn't it? A moment is enough to stop us panicking. Somebody might say, don't panic. And that's enough. Like you're panicking, and someone says, don't panic. It's enough just to hear it once. Oh, Now, I don't have to panic. I don't have to drive myself. Love and compassion are enough. Right. Okay. Does that mean we stop doing anything? That would take a tremendous effort, wouldn't it? To try to stop doing anything and just believe love and compassion are enough. I don't think we would do that naturally. Maybe one day we will. But I think naturally the circumstances of our lives are such that what we do next suggests itself quite naturally. If we feel driven, we might grab at things and try to fit loads of things in. If we don't feel driven, if we feel relaxed, if we really give ourselves time to weigh up our priorities and what's actually we could accomplish with love and compassion, it's interesting how that kind of becomes clearer by itself. And I don't know how that happens. It's not like it's a mathematical equation where you add it up one side and you add it up the other. Sometimes one does, pros and cons, but most of the time one just moves into the next situation. It doesn't have to feel driven. Even when we feel driven, we can actually just notice feeling driven and realise, what is it somebody said? I tried worrying once, but it didn't work. You know, I tried driving myself, but actually it didn't accomplish what I hoped it would accomplish. So, just the thought, maybe that could be true. If I did everything out of love and compassion, maybe it would become obvious what's necessary and what isn't. So love and compassion have power in themselves to help and to heal, which is a radical thought, isn't it? Is that true? Could that be true? That there is love and compassion coming through each one of us, that if we gave it a chance, would actually help the world and heal the problems of the world, bring peace, bring joy, comfort, relieve suffering. Has it got that power? I think I have talked to you, but I do talk sometimes about the power of our presence. Just our presence sometimes. Just a caring presence in the room can have a tremendous effect. I think it always does, even if we don't notice it has. There is a power in that. And the more we trust that, the more we... And trusting it doesn't mean, oh, I believe that, I'll hold on to that belief. You can almost forget that you trust it. It's more that you don't get in the way of it with your busyness and fussiness and your taking your own doubts and hesitations too seriously. Just lighten up, just generally lighten up. The trust isn't something extra that you have to do. There's nothing you can do about trusting, it's just being simple, really. And that has a power. You know, if you think of people in your life who've really affected you, or people you may not have met them, but maybe you saw them on the television or something like that, on the media, who really affect you, think what their qualities are. And then you might have more faith in your own good qualities. It's not the busy ones, is it, that really affect us so deeply? Not me, anyway. The kind of person that I'm riveted by is not driven. In fact, it can be a very simple person even a child, something very simple, very wise, not driven. So just remembering that might help you to recognize the power of your own simplicity. So now is the time to relax. So you might think, oh, wouldn't that be wonderful one day to be relaxed like that? So I'm telling myself, now is the time. Not in the future, now. Now is the time to relax. And relax what? Relax all self-effort. That's a ridiculous statement, isn't it? All self-effort. So that's a bit of an outrageous thing to tell anyone to do, to tell myself to do. So, but at least I'm not going to tell myself off for not doing that. I'm not going to blame myself for not being able to do that. It's kind of wakes me up. Oh, that is the important thing about my life, is to give up that driven sense of it's all up to me, I've got to try harder. It's all about, from this moment on, not being like that. You know, I've never done that before. It's kind of new. Like it's new every day, isn't it? A new idea every day. Today, now is the time to start by giving up all self-effort. Why not? Even the thought of it is so shocking and so different from what you'd normally be doing. I think it's worth just saying that. Just kind of iconoclastic. The great God of do more, try harder is destroyed by now is the time to relax all self-effort. And trust the power of love and compassion to accomplish all our tasks. So that doesn't mean to desperately try hard not to do anything today, which is really hard. Where are you going to draw the line? So okay, you're going to carry on. The conditions are there for you to do what you're going to do today. But just a little shift in our attitude. I'm going to do them anyway, I know I am. So I could do them without being driven. I could do them as if they were simply the universe expressing itself out of love and compassion. And you could actually think about each thing you do. How is that relieving suffering? How is that actually contributing to the well-being of the world? And actually, you'll find that it all does. You will find it all does. It's a wonderful way to think. Instead of thinking about how that wasn't good enough, you start and you finish everything you do with thinking, oh, that will contribute to creating a wonderful, or better, or nicer, cleaner, tidier, more harmonious, more friendly environment. So I'll do that and it will create that. And that will have contributed. And that is the love and compassion of the universe coming through me. And it's not even mine, it's not even personal. It's kind of like, I didn't have anything to do with it. Could be a good way to live, couldn't it? And then there's all those things that don't get done. You know, there's lots of things that have to get done, and there's deadlines for them, and they're not going to wait. And if you don't do them today, then there's going to be some consequences. If I did it with love and compassion, would that mean that all those things couldn't get done? Does it mean that dependent on being done on me being driven and frantic and sort of hard on myself, does that actually help them to get done? I challenge you to check for yourself whether that actually does help. That maybe those kind of attitudes are not necessary. And maybe if we couldn't get everything done, maybe it wasn't possible for them to all be done in a day. Maybe it was just a fact. They just couldn't all be done. That we were trying to do too much, and okay, maybe that means there were consequences. Maybe that's what was necessary. Maybe by being so pressured and by accomplishing everything you think needs to be done in this non-compassionate way, just raises everybody's standards. So everybody now is trying to do more and more that they can't do. So the more you succeed, the more the next person feels they fail, and the more pressure is put on everybody to reach your standard. So that wasn't very helpful to the world, was it? Let's lower the standards, let's lower expectations. Let's take the pressure off everybody. Wonder Woman has a lot to answer for. So relax and trust the spontaneous power of love and compassion. That means it's very deep, really. It means it could be very uncomfortable from the point of view of our conditioned situation in time and space, that things don't get done, that if they had been done, things would have been better. You know, our expectations sometimes are far, far above what's going to happen. And we never know if we'd have done more, would it have made it better or worse? So often you hear people putting in a tremendous amount of effort into something, and then actually it ends up doing more harm than good. When I hear those stories, I feel terrible. I think all the effort they put in, and it made things worse, and I think of all the effort I've put into things that, you know, maybe they made things worse. You see it everywhere, don't you? I don't think I need to give you examples. And actually, those things that we tried to prevent happening, maybe we succeeded in preventing them happening, but at what cost? I don't think we can assess that, to be honest. I don't think we can. I don't think it's in our... We can't really measure those things. The example that always comes to my mind when I think of this is when you go into a country, and a developing country, and you save the babies from, you know, mortality, that they're dying. And so you get more and more increase in the population, and then you get pressure on resources, and then you get people dying of hunger. And when I think of that, I think at no point could we know the effect of what we were doing, and no point could, out of love and compassion, could we have stopped doing what we were doing. And I always find that so poignant, and at the same time so affirming of what the Buddha said about the nature of samsara. You know, you can't fix samsara, but the love and compassion we bring has a power from its own side to relieve suffering. So that, okay, we did those things and they did relieve suffering. Okay, then the suffering came further along the way, but then that's how samsara is. But from the point of view of the spontaneous power of love and compassion in the universe, nothing can change that. We are just human beings. We can't know really the effects of what we're doing, so that just act out of love and compassion and let the universe do the rest. And sometimes it might be we haven't fixed the universe, but we did bring love and compassion into the world, which is what's important. and has a spontaneous power of its own, and we don't even know the end result of that chain of events that our love and compassion set in motion, especially if we're Buddhists, because we've got all our future lives to consider. You know, it's never wasted. But even if you don't believe in future lives, when you look at the results of interventions all over the place, compassionate interventions, you could become totally disheartened and disillusioned. But there's no need to be disheartened and disillusioned. It's important to keep going. Whatever that, there's no point in being driven because you don't really know what's going to be the result. But love and compassion, if you do whatever you're doing is love and compassion, trusting it, that it's working through you, and remembering that and letting go of that feeling of drivenness, it's for sure that will have a positive effect. In fact, the power of it can't be measured. And it's intrinsic to the power of the universe. It's like, it's the way things are. So you can trust it. So hopefully the result of thinking that way is more relaxation and more empowered action. And working through all the choices you make and the things you do. This is me talking to myself. And don't do. Because I worry about the things I don't do. I don't know if you're like that. But I'm constantly worrying about the things I haven't done. And then maybe it was important that I didn't do them. Maybe there was an important truth in that. Something that I needed to recognise, that the world needed to recognise, that situation needed to recognise, that they couldn't, or they weren't done. That's how the situation is. They weren't done. And then maybe something awful happened because they weren't done. And you think, oh, should I have done more? Or, yeah, perhaps. Or, maybe that's just how it is. It just happened like that. The sense that somehow, somewhere, someone somewhere has to be to blame. Sometimes it's just like that. And we have to go on. We just have to go on with life. We have to get on with life. Now maybe you could think, oh, that was a terrible mistake and it's had a terrible consequence. I'm totally to blame, but that I'm totally to blame is of no use. It is a terrible consequence. Love and compassion is intrinsic to the universe. I would never have let that happen. But I did. Somehow. It just did happen. And then you think of all the people like yourself who are having to live with things that were not done, or things that were done that would have been better not to have been done. And how much love and compassion in those people is then blocked if they then think, I'm to blame. They become totally depressed and can hardly move forward. What good does it do? So now's the time for you to trust the love and compassion in the universe. Okay, that's how it is. And somehow the love and compassion of the universe will continue to work through me. I don't know why that happened, how it happened. I didn't do it. I had my reasons why I didn't do it. Or maybe I didn't have my reasons why I didn't do it. Or I did do it, and it didn't do it. It was tragic. Still, that doesn't mean the love and compassion in the universe has withdrawn itself, that somehow my nature is no longer love and compassion. I think it's very important when it says love and compassion will accomplish everything. Maybe not as we would have expected or wanted it to be. It just happens anyway. If you're Buddhist, you think, well, Sometimes these things happen because of the karmic connections and the karmic situation. That whatever I'd have done then, it wouldn't have made any difference. And you never know. You never know whether it would have made a difference or not. Once you start thinking if and only if, well, you could if forever, couldn't you? If you did this, then something else might have happened, So that kind of really not being phased, but remaining very open, whatever happens, even if it's something that you yourself feel you shouldn't have done, but you did, or you shouldn't have done and you did. Whatever you, and then this one, which is really another iconoclastic statement on my part. Whatever you try to accomplish yourself will fail. So cheer up. You're so worried and so afraid of failing. Don't worry, you will. As long as you're around worrying about it, you will. It's like you will fail. I mean, how can you not fail? What could you, when you think of all that you hope to accomplish, how you would want to be, how you would like to be, how would you even measure whether you were reaching it? And even if you did, you still wouldn't reach your own standards, would you? You could always do better. However well you did everything you could possibly think of, you could still have done better. You will fail because you've set yourself up to fail. Me, I'm going to do something. Well, you, in that small sense, never do anything anyway. So once you start thinking, okay, I'm going to do it and I'm not going to fail, you're going to fail. So don't worry about it. That haunted by a constant sense of failure. Why not? Why not? Just it's part of what it is to be a deluded being, really. A deluded human being is to feel you're failing all the time. Or else you're silencing that voice by arrogance. By thinking, me, I don't fail. I just don't fail. I mean, it's just as bad. You'll have your comeuppance in the end. You will fail in the end. So whether you're arrogant about it or whether you're sort of being pathetic about it, whatever you're doing about it, it's all failure. So that's a comforting thought, isn't it? Don't need to worry whether I fail or not. You definitely will. So get used to it. Get used to the fact that all that self-effort is actually not going to contribute anything. So, okay. What does that mean? Then what am I going to do? I'm going to stop worrying about it, basically. That's the idea of that line, really. There's no doubt about it. No need to worry, because it's definitely you're going to fail. So you can rest. You can rest, relax in that. I think there's no point in even trying to measure myself up against anything. Myself, my expectations, my past performance, the performance of others. There's no point in any of it. It's a foregone conclusion. Fail. So now I'm going to kind of live with that and not mind. Not mind, and then somehow it's just a kind of an idea that you just let push you, but it's no longer pushing you. Since the power of love and compassion will work through you spontaneously, you can relax. So this is the message. You can relax. It is possible. Not only is it possible, but there's no point in doing anything else. Only something to think about. And the power of love and compassion itself will accomplish all things perfectly. That's a challenge, isn't it? It will accomplish all things perfectly. Well, I guess that's coming from my Buddhist conviction in the the power of the spontaneous activity of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and the spontaneous activity of the bodhicitta. We all have bodhicitta, Buddha nature, that it could never be any, how could you put it? How it is how it is. And to see fault with it is simply a notion, an idea. No point to it. So if you drop that judgmental mind, it's saying, you know, could be better, could be more, should be better, should be more, etc., etc., etc. When that mind has become completely quiet, whatever's accomplished is what's accomplished. There's nothing, you might as well call it perfect, because there's no fault. But that's very deep. So it's not like saying, oh, well, if I don't make any effort, it'll, you know, the cake will cook itself and the children will look after themselves. And, you know, it's not saying that. But at some deeper level, it's talking at a deeper level. So, oh, it's good timing, isn't it? Does anybody want to ask anything?
Strong response to when you say you can't fix samsara. I know that's been your message over many, many years. But I think that's what I'm still trying to do. And that's why this is so important and so helpful. And yet now I'm still in that slightly confused space of volition. What kind of, you know, you've been saying we need to relax and trust and not be driven, but where's that? I don't know.
You just try and do nothing. It's really helpful to just try and do nothing. You know, not very hard, but just very gently try to do nothing. And I think then you'll notice that actually you don't do nothing when you're very relaxed. You will actually probably do the same things, or fewer of them probably. Or at least you won't feel the pressure of so many of them, because you're just trying to do nothing. So you think, oh well, I might as well just, you know, do the washing up and write those emails and keep that appointment. I might as well just do that. Oh, I could just hurry a bit and maybe, but that sense it's all weighing on you. It's all heavily on you. Whenever you remember that, you think, oh, I'm not going to do anything today. To just take it off. It's just a thought. I'm not going to do anything today, but I will just do this and this. And just kind of take that heavy drivenness off. I remember once when I was feeling very particular, I've mentioned this before, I was feeling particularly driven one afternoon when I was preparing for we were having a meeting in the house or something. There were lots of things that needed to be done. And I had lots of ideas of handouts and, you know, all sorts of things I was going to do and people I was going to ring. And then I just got so frantic, I said, I can't do it. You know, I think we're going to have to cancel the whole thing. So Rigzin Shikpo said, okay, well, why don't you just sit down for a minute and then, you know, in about 5 minutes' time, you could ring up and cancel it all. So I sat down for 5 minutes. And after about 5 minutes, I thought to myself, well, there's no need to cancel it. I could just do this and this. And it was actually quite manageable. But I'd set all my expectations and standards so high, I'd got to the point where I thought it had to be like that. And if it couldn't be like that, then better not do it at all. And it was a completely distorted view of reality. So that's what I suspect you might find happens. Yeah.
There's something about retaining the care.
Yes.
You know, still
you still care. That's right. You really care, because to be honest, it would take a lot of effort to not care, wouldn't it? Because you do care, and we do care, and we're doing something we're doing, not caring. You know, when you're not caring, you're doing it really hard, because it's not easy to not care, actually. You know, if you do it easily, it's because you've done something quite fundamental to yourself. You know, you've made yourself not care, and then you can not care, but actually it's not, you know, it's not really that you don't care, it's that you've done something. If you undo that, you do care, and you will respond. I don't think you need to worry that you won't. Yeah.
I was going to say, I compulsively made lists of what I should achieve in that day, and then I go out to the greenhouse and the whole of my list goes out the door. And then you find that when you've just done things in the greenhouse, things slot in and get
Well, there
done.
you are.
But otherwise you're thinking, I've got to do, but it's actually going in the greenhouse or whatever, and that gives you a pause.
Getting the balance right, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is some of this about remembering to have love and compassion for yourself?
Oh yes.
And when you do,
Yes.
and that forgiveness
Yeah.
kind of seems to follow, then somehow all the expectations you have of what you felt you needed to do outwardly seem to change. And that it's like something dissolves, I find sometimes, that much to my surprise, that when I don't try to, when you're describing that afternoon, when I actually let go of all these expectations of this perfect happening, that I actually discover that there's a totally different experience between myself, and particularly when it involves other people, and it seems like it shatters all my beliefs of how
That's
the
right.
perfect thing
That's
should
right.
be.
And that you could call it love and compassion for yourself, couldn't you? But it's
acceptance, I think, is
or whatever word you want. But it's the opposite of that drivenness, which is quite aggressive towards oneself, isn't it? You kind of set yourself up as this special being that you're now going to direct all your aggression at. It's kind of like, why would one do that? It's interesting, isn't it? So then, yes, you could call. I always find it a bit difficult to love this one that I've set all the aggression up to, because it doesn't really exist anywhere. I've invented the whole thing. So I find just, letting go of the aggression, then actually I feel good in myself. So that would be, that's tantamount to love for oneself, isn't it? But however you find the words work for you. I think acceptance might work. I think a lot of people find that as helpful, don't they? It's kind of, when I look at all the aggression towards myself, in these, you should do this better, you should do this better, and all these things that I think I should be able to do, when I really look at it, I just can't help laughing, really. It's just kind of like, what's that all about? Some sort of, what is that about? And for me, it's going on in a sort of low level. Everything I look at, I think I should have done that better. Or, I could have done that better, and, But with me, it's quite low level, and I don't particularly, but then when I really turn myself around and look at it, it's just ridiculous. How many things I think that I could do better, should do better. But then, I also can appreciate the fact that actually that's just in the background and it's not particularly the main thing that's driving me. But, I can see that yeah, that's taken some training perhaps.
I always feel a huge sense of responsibility about things like climate change and loss of species and just the general condition of the natural world. And it's so hard to even begin to think what one as a person needs to be doing about that whole situation. It's quite overwhelming.
And
But then, I think there is a sense in which we are responsible.
yeah, definitely in all walks of life. We do have responsibility, don't we?
But it's really hard to not beat yourself up about it.
Yeah, what's the point? Yeah, what's the point of beating yourself up? But yes, if you can do something, do it. If you can see a way you can do something, do it. No need to think, oh, well, can't save the whole world, so I won't do anything. It's just not, it's obviously not the way to live your life, is it? I can't save the whole world, so I will do, out of love and compassion, I will do what I can, where I can, and as a whole, as an integrated whole, play my part. But if I think I've got to do more than that, I've got to do more, and then I'm not doing it out of love and compassion anymore, I'm doing it because I'm driven by my feelings of, failure or self-blame or all these harsh things, well, what's that going to contribute? And if you then encourage other people to do the same, what's that going to contribute? You're going to get more and more distress. So it's important to kind of recognise you're not going to fix samsara. If it's the karma of this world, of these, the next generation to have a world to live in, then, we can contribute to that in whatever way we can. But if it can't be done, we can't fix it. But that doesn't mean to be passive. That doesn't mean not to do, if you do feel inspired to kind of build a wind farm or something like that you think will help, do it out of love and compassion. But, you don't be surprised if, 50 years' time they say that was a very wind farm for the very thing that caused even more trouble. It's like that. But we wouldn't be to blame for that. Yeah. It's like the population thing, the doctor saving babies was the very thing that caused the overpopulation. And when I think of that, I think sometimes it's just like that. You can't say it wasn't a good thing for the doctors to go and save the babies. That was out of love and compassion. And then you can see that everywhere. You can see, it's not fixable really. But who knows what the karma of the world is going to be? And if we can encourage love and compassion in the world, that will increase and improve the karma of the world. So who knows what might happen?
Would it be too outlandish to say, well, who cares? Who
We
knows
care.
what will happen? Who cares?
But we
I
do
care
care.
so much that
We
I
do
don't
care.
care at all.
That's right. Because you care so much.
Yeah.
It's only when you can only say I don't care with a lot of effort. Because you care so much, you end up then you say, I don't care, but you really have to hold on to that. Because you do. You do care. People who say they don't care, why are they saying they don't care? Because they care.
Yeah.
And they're kind of despairing and they just don't know what to do. Kind of need to relax. If they relaxed and they had some kind of confidence that it was still worth acting out of love and compassion, they wouldn't hold themselves up and say I don't care. They would just do what they could. Relaxed. That's when we get really, 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 really angry and frustrated, is when we say we don't care, isn't it? Well, at least I do. when I care so much and I can't see what to do, then just out of pure anger I say I don't care. And I know immediately it's not true. It's just trying to get off the hook because it feels so uncomfortable. I hate it. I hate not being able to do anything. So, you know, I think I'll try and see what happens if I don't care. But it doesn't work. So it's pain of it, isn't it? It's being able to bear the pain of it. And relax with the pain of it.